Hello, happy Friday, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Folks, we have an absolutely astounding 90-minute show for you today. We have some big topics, one of which comes the way of one of our favorite people to talk about, and that is ecstasies, folks. Apparently, and I've not heard it just from him, I've heard it from several different places. Xbox is expecting to have 50 million subscribers to Xbox Game Pass by the end of 2025. That is second half of the show. We're going to get into why that is going to happen, and more importantly, how important that is to Xbox and subscribers like us. But the opening salvo, ladies and gentlemen, is going to come the way of one of our own panel members, Crispy Bomb. Obviously, it was such a great commentary, such a great comment that during a DM, I was like, we got to make this a topic. And of course, he's going to lead the conversation because we have a lot to say on it. And what it comes down to, folks, is, and again, this is pointed. It's pointed, but it is brought on the back end with facts. And the fact of the matter is that if you look at the 5 months of 2025, and yes, 5 months, because we're counting May, because we know Doom: The Dark Ages is releasing in May. If you take those 5 months and you look at what has come out, not only from Xbox Game Studios in regards to first party, we're also talking third party marketing deals like Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Ninja Gaiden 4 releasing in the fall of this year, Expedition 33 in Game Pass, Game of the Year quality, Blueprints in Game Pass, day and date. I mean, this first 5 months might actually be the greatest 5 months in Xbox platform history. Crispy Bomb, what's up, brother? How you feeling? Good morning.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can already give them Publisher of the Year for the most part. I mean, but it's great to be here. You know, I don't know. I would argue with anybody. Game Pass is pretty undeniable at this point, and I've seen a lot of I wouldn't say stands, just gamers that have a PlayStation that are now considering moving to Xbox or resubscribing to Game Pass and booting up that Xbox again. And I've seen it all over the socials. So, I mean, we're going to get into it because at the end of the day, like, you like games. I mean, we got a lot of games over here. I'm just saying.
That is a great point. And we're going to come back to you first because you obviously are the one that initiated this topic. So for opening salvo, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. But before we get to him, we have to thank Fuzzy Belvedere for being here. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys. Yeah, this week has been a pretty phenomenal week as far as gaming is concerned, and we got a lot of stuff to get into. I wound up pre-ordering the Switch in person yesterday at GameStop.
Very nice.
Bots were out in droves, and not like Xbots or anything like that. Just bots from people writing scripts to I guess scalp them or whatever. But yeah, this is a pretty good gaming week, and yeah, Xbox has been killing it so far all year so far, and we haven't even gotten to the June showcase for the second half. So yeah, we got a lot to get into.
Well, we do. But before we actually get into it, I want to thank Heisman in the chat. Now, Heisman is a good friend of mine. We talk on via emails on a regular basis. He's very kind enough to drop stories that he finds interesting. And of course, some of those stories have been, in fact, used for some of the topics or some of the conversation in those topics that I've done over the course of the last couple of weeks. He dropped his $20 super chat, and for some reason, it's not showing up on YouTube. I would say Heisman, definitely reach out to PayPal and get a refund for that because I don't see it. And if I don't see it, that means that we didn't get it. And of course, $20 is nothing to sneeze at. Listen, anyone that drops a super chat in 2025, Mrs. Boom and I are incredibly grateful for it because we understand that we are not owed anything. We have this channel for your entertainment. what we get on the back end through channel membership and through the generosity of super chats, we then turn around to not only donate and bring gifts to you guys and gals, but we also keep the show running. And there's a lot of money on the back end of this show that a lot of people don't know that you have to buy every year. Every program that we need is not a lifetime program. We use a lot of the super chats to re-up on Canva. We use it to to all the video programs that we use to make the videos. We have to re-up those. Those are every year. So we definitely appreciate it for sure. So Heisman, definitely reach out to their customer service and get your money back, because we don't see it. I looked, and I did not find it. And I don't want you to lose out of your $20, brother. So thank you so much for the generosity. But gentlemen, we got to get into the opening salvo. And I want to thank already, we have 200 people here on a Friday morning. And again, like I said, this is still a small channel. We're 100 and I believe 18 now away from 16K. I don't know how many people here in the chat are not already subscribed, but Mrs. Boom and I do implore you to help us get there. We would greatly appreciate the push over the edge, so to speak. But Crispy Bomb, you brought up a phenomenal point, so much so that I had to make it a conversation to open today's show. Now, this is one of those original topics that you may or may not ever hear on some of your other favorite podcasters. And that's what I love about working with professionals like Crispy and Fuzzy on a regular basis, is that we have these on point conversations that do involve hot topics of the day, like Xbox Game Pass and affordability in gaming. But when we get a topic like this, and it's as pointed as, carving out a conversation that includes the first 5 months of 2025 versus any first months of any platform before it. And mind you, this is a wide margin. Now, there's going to be some people in the chat that be like, well, Boom, I remember in 2017 that this 5 months is better. We're not here to argue. What we are here to do is celebrate a topic that Crispy Bomb came up with, and I think it's brilliant. And I think it needs to be discussed, because right now, folks, and I know we're not going to get into cream cheese and egg prices. We're not going to do that. So again, people are probably laughing in the chat already. It is a sad reality. And the fact that we have those conversations on a gaming podcast, ultimately, is just sad, right? But gaming is an expensive hobby. Not everyone can afford to game on a console, let alone all three platforms, right? We some of us, and not me, because I understand, but some people take for granted the gifts that we are given. And some people, like myself, support multiple platforms, as well as having a nephew who plays those games as well. And I support his, I was going to say habit, but his fun as well in gaming. So it's an additional cost. Anyone with kids knows exactly what I am talking about. Well, when you look at Xbox Game Pass, I believe in my heart of hearts that not only is it undeniable, it has officially, in my personal opinion, become the greatest service in entertainment. That's right. You heard what I said there. I'm bringing TV and film into the conversation, as well as music. You get so much value for what you are paying. It's almost unbelievable at times. But the topic at hand here, Crispy Bomb, is the one of clarifying that when you consider what Xbox has done as a platform in the first 5 months of 2025, it has been maybe a decade, maybe more than that, when we have seen this many games, both multi-plat, both indie and first-party games, drop onto a platform. And we're not talking about games that are forgettable. We're talking about at least 5 games that are going to be discussed by the end of the year as Game of the Year nominees, and we're not even into June yet. Let's break this down.
I mean, and I said publisher because at the end of the day, like, you look at what's dropping, even though they're technically games that some of us have already played, like me, like I'm looking at Game Pass at this point. I'm like, where do I find the time for all of this? And I think that's a question that is really important. Like, yes, like they're releasing games on PlayStation, and those games are becoming extremely successful. I mean, Forza is going to do crazy numbers on PlayStation. Okay. But people have played that for years already on Xbox. Is that like the worst thing in the world? And then, to be a publisher on like Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, for example, I never played Ninja Gaiden. And if I did, I don't remember it that well. Okay. Because those were times when I can't look back on the achievements. Okay. That's the way it goes. But you look at it and you say, okay, like I put 10 hours into that game. Did I beat it? No. I enjoyed a moment. Am I going to beat it? I don't know, because all of a sudden there's another game here. Oh, South of Midnight. Oh, okay. Downloaded it. Guess who stole the controller? My fiance. Okay. Like, and then all of a sudden I come in after work and she's playing with my son. All right. Like they're sitting there and they're passing the controller back and forth. Those are old school moments in my eyes. Like that's
Those are
like
beautiful moments, brother.
Yeah. And I look at that and I say, all she looks at and says, like, I already paid for this. This is amazing that I get this. Like, it's just, it's so unique. And then, like Oblivion, like, oh, let's just drop that. Okay. Like, let's just drop that. Oh, you got Doom coming. Oh, Avowed already came out at the beginning of the year. Oh, I mean, all these games, I mean, most of them are above 80. Okay. So, like, you want to call it Game Pass fodder? Sure. You want to go to the Metacritic and say, oh, that's all the enjoyment. If I'm going to play a game, it has to be good on Metacritic. You don't have to worry about that. Just try it. If you don't like it, uninstall it. I mean, yes, I'm sorry. Like, Game Pass is starting to become undeniable. It is one of those things that, yes, you might be able to play this game on PlayStation or probably Nintendo Switch 2 at some point. Okay. But at the same time, if you have an Xbox or you have the Game Pass app and can use it wherever you want, if you're a phone gamer, you can use it. If you just have a newer TV, especially LG and Samsung, you can use it. Is it going to work like having the console there? Not necessarily, but at the same time, like, we're talking under $300 console that will play all of the new games as well, because I did find out that South of Midnight, and I have a 1X, the Scorpio edition, it will not play that. So now I have to upgrade said fiance for bedroom, because she likes to just, chill out and just play by herself and do that. That is because the game she likes, I might not like. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I think we're coming into a time where they usually don't stack it like this in the beginning of the year.
They've never done this. Crispy, that, first of all, phenomenal additional point. Let me just add a few seconds of context. What has been, Crispy, one of the biggest complaints of Xbox gamers for years is that they seem to forget that there's a January through June, and they fix that. And this is the first year. This is why your topic is so brilliant, because most Xbox gamers, new folks in the chat can back me up on this. If there was one complaint, it's like, okay, they had good games this year, but damn, everything was at the back end of the year. Folks, they loaded up front the first 5 months. Mind you, there's still 7 months left of the year that we don't know about. Please continue, kind sir.
And I mean, this is where we start seeing, like, okay, like a lot of us said, like, we do like these shadow drops, right? And then, like, yeah, they're throwing it out there, like, like rumors upon rumors about Oblivion. Okay. And then it still hit hard, even though there was all those rumors. I think they're starting to see like through the tea leaves, like, hey, like if it's an IP that is like nostalgic, but also needs a new coat of paint and a new, like, we're not saying change the game completely, but make it modernized. And you know, we're talking, you know, at least 10 plus years for a remaster. Okay, like that's the way I look at games at this point. Like, and I know, like, you know, you're gonna hear all the Sony pushback. Oh, we do remaster. You do too many. Okay, like, and you do them too soon. All right. What about a SOCOM? What about this and that? Like, that's what I saw from what they just did with Oblivion. Like, hey, like, we can do this. And I think I said this a couple weeks ago. Like, it seems like Xbox is a complete bed with Epic with UE5, because if they're allowing like the engine that, you know, like the underlying engine, and then having that coat of paint on top of it, so it still has that nostalgic feel, but also has this new age look to it, and that engine's able to do it. Imagine when we get the Phoenix collection and it's already been built in Unreal Engine, and then you're just adding that extra coat of paint. It's already it's already there. They can do that clearly because they were able to do that with this. This is an exciting time for getting some of those games that you wish you had again, with this new nostalgia to it. And I think this is the way. Like, if you're going to invest in doing a remaster, you must do it this way. And then let's be honest, like, if you're not a Game Pass subscriber, that's cool, because you know what? It was only what, $50? Like, it's one of those things. Like, there's so many games that they have that they can put that new coat of paint on and probably release it to other consoles. But I mean, most Xbox gamers, we played this a long time ago. Like, we're just enjoying the fruits of their labor. And on top of that, think about this, okay? Like, you are giving a reason to do it because you're releasing it on other platforms. You know what I'm saying? So it's a win-win for gaming in general, because it allows studios like Virtuos to go out and say, you know what, we're gonna be a remake capital. You know what I mean? We're gonna just, you know, remake, remaster. I don't know. Like, I'm hearing remake. Don't get me wrong. Did not download Oblivion. I got enough games to play right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. And that's where I say, like, you know, like, yeah, like, maybe give us some discounts on the storage there, Xbox. Hello. Like, you know, like, go with your partners like WD Black and be like, hey, like, can we get a 2 terabyte for like $150? Like, can we figure that out? You know, Seagate, like, hey, like, you know, you guys want to come in and say, hey, like, you know, let's upgrade some people, you know, on the back end, because, you know, regardless of what you think, like, it's old school. It's like a memory card, but I love it because it works. It works great. But now I'm hitting that storage limit. You know, Division coming out with an update and all that, and I got back into it, and I'm like, oh, well, that's there. So, you know, like, it's a lot of things, and I think, I mean, is it a bad problem to have like so many games that you don't know what to play? You know, this reminds me of when I used to go into Blockbuster and be like, oh, what am I going to play? Sit there for an hour trying to figure out what I'm going to get, you know, and then I'm only going to play it for 5 days. I don't even have to, I have no limit now. I just, you know, like, okay, I want to boot up Avowed today. Okay, I can do that. You know, Doom's coming out. That's where I say 5 months. Like, Doom, like, the way they presented it and everything, and like the way they're trickling stuff out, and like the music, like, yeah, I love Mick Gordon, but like, it seems like they hit the narrative again. Like,
Yeah,
I want to metal out and rock on and you know, blow some demons' heads off and you know, smash them in the head with a freaking mace. Like, let's go. Like, but those are the type of things that I like. A chainsaw shield. Like, come on, like, you know, I'm a Gears head, like the chainsaw shield. Like, yeah. But that's what I say. Like, you know, and then like even like the controllers and stuff like that, and you know, like starting to make it undeniable to say, hey, like, they don't have to make the money all on the game. They can make the money on the marketing and everything else by releasing good products. Now, I've seen some complaints about the Elite controller, at least. I've heard complaints about that for years. I have like 5 of them. Okay, so I'm not saying that don't have their issues, but if you send it in within a period of time, they will at least, give you your flowers and be like, oh, okay, we'll replace it, we'll fix it, do whatever. And that goes down to a lot of old stuff that happened before, because being pro-consumer is extremely hard at this point, especially in the times we're in. And that's where I keep saying, and I'm going to keep saying it, Xbox, stay on this path, not this year. You got it. You got the narrative. The narrative is turning, okay? I've seen people that normally wouldn't talk about being, becoming Game Pass subscriber again or buying an Xbox. They're starting to talk about it because it's becoming so prevalent that why would I want to play this game? If you want to play 3 games and let's say they're priced at even $50, you're 3/4 of the way to a Game Pass sub, and you don't know what's coming out at the end of the year. You got an inkling. You got Outer Worlds 2 out there. Okay. You got certain games that you're like, okay, this is possible, but you don't know specifically. But then also they're like, oh, Call of Duty, that's going to be there. Okay. Yep. If you're a Call of Duty player, there you go. So these are things that you have to deal with. Do you want to just spend money? Like, I understand supporting the devs and all that. I do. But there comes a point in time where your wallet should matter more than anything else. Mm-hmm. And that's where I look at it from my perspective.
I mean, listen, you're not wrong. And not only is it a phenomenal perspective, your personal wallet is what is important, right? Because it pays the bills. It keeps the lights on at home. And sometimes we gotta cut corners. Entertainment's the first thing to go for almost anybody. I mean, that's a normal thing, and that makes sense because if you have to, in order to play your games, you got to keep the lights on, folks. So unfortunately, sometimes the first thing for most families is entertainment. And I've said this before, and I'm going to beat this drum until I'm no longer here. Xbox Game Pass allows for every financial station to be a part of the conversation in gaming. I don't think people give them enough credit for that. That is a great point of view, and it's one that is packed with truth. But Crispy, again, phenomenal opening salvo. I want to bring Fuzzy Belvedere in here. Fuzzy, there is something to be said of having a winning streak. And you've heard me say this before. Listen, I don't slander PlayStation unless they need it. And we do have to admit that when they were hitting in 2018, 2019, 2020, they were on a phenomenal cadence. It was a phenomenal bunch of games. Now, maybe those games aren't for you. Maybe the over-the-shoulder, third-person, story-driven game that looks kind of the same with a different skin isn't for you. I get it. It's for me, though. I enjoy those games, which is why I have a PlayStation 5. But they haven't been on a run like that in a very long time, and it was years. And it was years of consistency. But now we have to just take a step back and use not only Xbox Game Pass as the crux of the conversation, but it's the quality of the games that were put in the service and onto the Xbox platform. And this first 5 months, honestly, might actually go down as not only the biggest in Xbox platform history, it actually might go down as some of the best 5 months in gaming in a decade or more. You are talking about games like South of Midnight, Avowed, Oblivion, Doom, Expedition 33. Yes, it's a multi-plat, but in Xbox Game Pass. Blueprints, which some people are calling it their game of the year, the indie game of the year in Xbox Game Pass. And yes, it did land on PlayStation Plus, which is awesome for PlayStation players. They took the bag from both places, so good on them for doing that. And it's a game of the year quality, awesome. But there is just so many other games. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I mean, we can just keep going down the list. And what Xbox has put out with their third-party partners, their indie partners, and Xbox Game Studios is undeniable the best 5 months I could possibly remember in gaming. Let's get your thoughts, man.
Ooh, where to begin? All right, so if we're just going to focus on first-party stuff, this is undeniably, I would say, one of the best first halves of published and first-party games that we've seen in gaming in quite a long time, if not ever. Because, like, let's not mix things up. Ninja Gaiden is still one of those things where it's going to be published by Microsoft Studios.
Yep.
So it still counts as their first party per se. But even if you have questions on that, they've already released Avowed, South of Midnight, and the Oblivion remaster, which that's the right way you do a remaster. You take something that's beyond the 10-year scope and not only give it a new coat of paint, but update some of the progression, some of the mechanics of the game to improve upon what you already had. Not saying that other platforms don't do that. I mean, there are other publishers that do a good job of their remasters. Capcom is one that really comes to mind as far as the update of controls as well as the visuals. But now Xbox is digging in their bag as far as what they have available as well. And they picked a doozy with Oblivion. And we'll probably see, the Gears collection here soon as well. But just from that standpoint, like Crispy said, they deserve Publisher of the Year. And we're not even finished yet. Like, we still have the June showcase where we know there's going to be a new COD this year. We know there's going to be Outer Worlds 2 later this year. There's probably going to be at least one, if not two more surprises before this year is out. And that's going to be one heck of a year. Like, typically you only get this type of, not coverage, but you get this type of enjoyment with like a new console release or a launch type of thing where it's like your launch window is kind of stacked. Yeah, this is everything that we poke fun at Matt Booty in the past about. And yeah, he definitely showed what he was talking about, that nobody could quite see what was ahead of us and whatnot. And if you look at what's in Game Pass, like you guys both touched on it, as far as like anybody that is looking to be in this hobby, there's so many different levels. Yeah, you could go all out and have, a $5,000 PC and go that route and spend a lot of money and have, photorealistic visuals on almost everything. But if you're looking to keep things within a reasonable means or a reasonable budget, and you're typically the type of person that only gets one or two games, sure, Game Pass might not be for you, but for what you're spending for those two games, having access to games that more than likely will change your view on those types of genres and open up a whole new, Pandora's box of games that you're into. Game Pass is definitely not only the best value, but like just one of the best services out there. Sure, some people are all about GameFly. If you're all about the physical copies, getting two of them at a time and, do almost like you used to do back in the day with Blockbuster and return them and wait for the other one to come. But you can download stuff instantly, or you could play it via the cloud. Like, if you don't even have the space right now, like I know we were talking earlier about the expansion drives and things like that. Before you even get to that point, at least test it out on the cloud service. Like, that's what I use as like the gauge if it's worthwhile to, put it on the SSD type of deal. Play 5 minutes of it, 30 minutes, an hour of it. I'm enjoying this. All right, yeah, I need to figure out how to make space, move stuff to the old expansion or external drive that I have. And then, the stuff that I'm going to probably be playing for the next couple of weeks, make sure that's on the internal. Yep. And then like the backup stuff or the stuff I usually visit daily, like your Forza Horizon or even Division type of stuff, put that on the expansion card and stuff. But yeah, Xbox has been killing it. And now they've expanded a new way to approach it. So if you have a newer LG TV, I mean, Samsung has always had, or not always, but they were the first ones as far as having the access to that app. Now LG has it. And if you don't have either one of those brands of TV, you could go with a Fire Stick, which is still one of those things that's kind of funny how even Amazon is in on, the expansion of Xbox, and they have their own cloud service, which you would think there'd be a conflict of interest, but in the grand scheme of things, this is the best for the consumer as far as access to games, a variety of games. And like you said, Blueprints is like a indie darling. Expedition 33, like I know a lot of us were like, man, was it right for them to release Oblivion Remaster considering that game is coming out in a few days? Well, it goes to show that game is going to stand on its own. And well, not that Oblivion has to worry, but like there's a lot of people that are into both of those games, and whichever one you start off with first and then hop to the next one, hopefully you get it finished in time for Doom. But yeah, this has just been a killer year, like not even year after year, like month after month, week after week, there's always something new going into the service. And before we even get to the June showcase, was it Alters is another one that they're going to have. I think we got Towerborn in like the next couple of days, if it's not already, for that early access through Game Pass and stuff. So it's like nonstop. And it's to the point where it's a little overwhelming and the backlog is starting to pick back up. But that's a good problem to have, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. And who would have thought all those years of saying Xbox has no games, they would come back this hard? Like, I don't know. Where are those people now? Are they hiding under a rock, or are they just subscribing to
They're playing Oblivion right now, bro. They're playing Oblivion right now.
I love it.
Exactly.
Oblivion, that's good stuff. I love it. Oh, if they're not playing Oblivion and they're not playing the 93 Metacritic reviewed Expedition 33, they're in a witness protection somewhere. So again, we'll never know who they are. They're wearing a wig, a mustache, and sunglasses right now, walking the street.
Nice Sony.
Yeah, but it's a great time to be a gamer. Shout out to Pong, Golden Age of Gaming. Like, I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. Like, as great as this year is, and yes, I know you got GTA 6 looming in the background. It's the gorilla outside the room that's waiting to break the door down. But I think even 2026 at this point, knowing that Fable's going to be there, whether Clockwork Revolution is this year or next year, Perfect Dark, like it's nonstop. And I'm just here to enjoy it. Like I'm finding myself, even as retired, it's like, all right, which game am I going to play today? And it's not that it's a big decision, but it's like, yeah, these RPGs are going to take some time. I've already put AC Shadows down for a little bit. I need to get back to Avowed to finish it off. Got to finish South of Midnight, but yeah, this has been an awesome year. If you're a gamer, you should be smiling from ear to ear kind of thing, unless you're into totally different games at this point, which I don't know which game hasn't had a release at this point, whether it's on the Game Pass service or on the platform in general. But the only ones I can think of would be like those old, not even like the video ones. I forget, like what was the one Nightmare thing, but yeah, that would be about the only type of game. FMV, I think, is what they call them.
The old school joints, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's about the only genre that hasn't had a recent release. But other than that, yeah, there's all types of games. There's something out there for you. There's definitely something in Game Pass, and it's like, if you don't know which one to play, there's even like a Russian roulette thing in the app where you can have it choose it for you, and chances are you'll find something new that you'll enjoy as well. But yeah, it's an awesome time right now, and it's like Christmas Eve. June showcase is right around the corner. Can't wait to see what we get on the second half, because this first half, it's undeniably awesome. So that's it.
So you mentioned the second half. So we said it earlier, one of the problems Xbox has had for years has been mismanagement of placement of games, where we've all complained that, man, the first 6 months, usually it's through May, right? It's usually January through May. That's super light. That's not the case now. Now, this goes back to something that Matt Booty said a year ago. As a matter of fact, I pulled it up while you guys were talking, and it was almost a year to the day where he literally was heard. Now, he wasn't being interviewed. He was talking to somebody, and he basically said that we have so many games, we're having a difficult time knowing where to place them. And when he said that, unfortunately, that was 2022. So it's more than a year ago. It's a couple years ago, but he said it, and people ran with it like they always do when it comes to Xbox. And it was a time where Xbox was super light. 2022 is probably one of the worst years for Xbox first party for a lot of reasons. And now, well, here we are, 2025, and it does seem like the problem was fixed. Now, originally, ladies and gentlemen, it was their plan to have one per quarter. We've heard Matt talk about that, and we've heard Phil specifically mention that. And I think that they have gotten to a point where they can't do one per quarter because they have too many games. Now, how you know things are starting to change for Xbox. Now, granted, I'm not suggesting that there's going to be a change in market leadership now or even next year for that matter. PlayStation reigns supreme. They're still selling consoles. They're still the most or one of the most recognized brands. Let's not make any mistakes or ridiculous suggestions. But here is some thoughts and some theories as to why there is a turn. A lot of us on this panel know several GameStop managers. We know them personally. We have their cell phone numbers. We talk just to say what's up. Besides sometimes asking, hey, do you have any extra switches, twos? Hit me up, right? But one of the conversations that you've heard me mention, one of the conversations you've heard on the socials is that people, PlayStation gamers, are trading in their PS5s for Xbox consoles. That is not like the Loch Ness Monster, which doesn't exist, right? That is actually happening. Now, are thousands of PlayStation gamers trading in their PS5s for Xboxes? Well, I can't give you that, and I don't think that's true at all. But again, there is going to come a point where I know that when we talk about the normies or we talk about the casual audience, they buy 2 or 3 games. Now, again, Matt Piscatella, bringing him in, that's Mr. Numbers right there. He told us a couple of months ago that the average, the so-called hardcore is about 4% of the populace. That's a very small singular number. The rest is the normies, are the casual gamers. And what the casual gamers do, like I've seen many times before when I'm standing in GameStop, because I still go and I buy my games. I like going there with Tyler. And we go and we hang out and he, looks at all the toys. He looks at all the games. We have a great time. It's awesome, right? Well, people, when they come to trade their stuff in, are trading in physical games. They're buying games. This is why Phil Spencer was, of course, taken out of context and said, Game Pass isn't for everyone, especially if you only buy 2 games a year or play 2 games a year. It's better for you to buy the games. That's what he said. And he's not wrong. Well, there is something to be said about the casual audience not being some numbskull who doesn't read the room. Okay? Each one of these, casual players that only buy a game or 2 or even 3 per year are not blind to the fact that services exist. Why? Because they have tons of them already. They have streaming services. So once they find out about Game Pass and they're like, wait a second, Doom is in Game Pass? Madden 25 is in Game Pass? And I can still play free-to-play games? Wait a sec. This is crazy. Now, we have heard Hargeet Chani talked about it on Primetime Gaming Wednesday evening. The Series X is so sought after in the secondhand market that GameStop is giving $420 for the console. Do you know what he paid for his console when he bought it? $350. Brand new. He sold it used for a profit. Who does that? When was the last time you heard about that? You haven't. It's never happened. And of course, now we're starting to see people want to play on Series X. Why? Is it the most powerful console? No, I mean, listen, in some instances, the PlayStation 5 Pro is doing some things better. But that's also new hardware versus hardware that's 5 years old. So the fact that the Series X is running shoulder to shoulder to PS5 Pro tells a whole different story that we're not going to take the time to get into right now. But we have to call a spade, folks. And value proposition in 2025 is probably the most important conversation. Not only are you going to have with yourself, you're going to have that with your family, because right now Game Pass has put together not only incredible first-party games, but an outstanding and almost unattainable amount of games in the first 5 months of 2025, and it might honestly be the best 5 months we've ever seen. And I think it was a phenomenal way to open up the show. But gentlemen, I want to catch up on super chats, and I do want to get into topic number 2. But the first super chat of the day comes away from our generous friend Decado. Decado, what's going on, brother? Nice to see you here. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Holy S, Expedition 33. I didn't think hanged like this." It says, "I didn't think hanged like this were made anymore, or games like this." I think he meant to say it's old school but new school. Expedition 33, and folks, we're not so much talking about it here, but it was made by 30 people. I personally bought the deluxe edition just to throw money at the developer. I'm only an hour in. I'm into just at the end of the prologue. I haven't had a lot of time. After the show, I'm gonna get into it. I cannot wait. And tonight, I think I'm staying up to play it. It is everything I've seen, all the screeners, all of the gameplay from, like, Nico's been playing it like a lunatic, and he's been putting out some great gameplay. And my God, that game just looks absolutely stunning. And that is also in Game Pass freaking day and date. It's just crazy. Do you, K Now, the broke boy insider, not only has gifted 1 double barrel gaming membership. So thank you so much, Will, for the consistent generosity. He drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Did you get your Switch order, Boom? He secured 3. I secured 2. I got 2. I got them from Target. 2 different SKUs. I got the bundle for Tyler, and because I wanted a bundle for me, but I couldn't get it. So I wound up getting the console only. So I'm going to have to buy Mario Karts, but it's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, I was able to secure 2, but it was stressful as F. I'm not going to lie. I was in a Discord, which I don't really like Discord, but I was hanging out with about 15 other people. Kay Asante was there. OBM was there. John Wolf was there. A lot of people were there hanging out, and a lot of us did get consoles, which is great. But thank you so much for the generosity, brother. We super appreciate it. We have here Atticus drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he goes on to say this: 2 hours into Expedition 33, and the prologue had this gray beard in tears. Absolute cinema. Looking forward to playing again tonight. Story has me hooked. Yeah, that is the one thing about this game, is that the story is apparently super rich and super engaging. The voice acting, I mean, you have Charlie Cox, you got Andy Serkis, you got a bunch of really bigs in there. And the quality, I mean, I put it this way: I'm only an hour in, folks, right? And I think I already took like 15 pictures. It's crazy. Like, every time, you see like the sun glaring, I'm taking a picture. You see like them picking up the rose to go put it by the harbor, and I take a picture. It's such a gorgeous game. Thank you for the generosity, brother. Gamers Play HUD Zero, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat. He says, "Xbox needs to steal PlayStation's old slogan for the players. We are witnessing a revolution of gaming unlike anything in gaming history. Exciting times ahead." Yeah, and I love how you did that with the giant X. Yeah, it is exciting times. And look, if you don't like Game Pass because you're that much of a PlayStation fan, I'm not going to fight you on it, folks. You like what you like. But at what point do you look and say, PlayStation, they're super light on their first party, right? We know that the space joint, which a lot of people panned already because of the female character, which I think is dumb. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that game is going to be amazing. It's a Naughty Dog joint. What's not to like? I like their stuff. That's been pushed to 27, right? This year, it's super light. Now, granted, Ghost of Yotai, that trailer, folks, make no mistake, that game looks freaking amazing, and I cannot wait to play it. And like I said the other day, if it has a collector's edition, you can bet your ass I'm going to buy it. Just like I have the other one right here, Ghost of Tsushima, the collector's edition right here. I'm going to put that one right next to it. So I'm very excited for that game. But that's one game. You put 30, you put 40, you put 50 hours in, and you're done. But Xbox keeps putting games there, and it's just, at what point do you not get an Xbox or at least play on your rig? You have a PC and because we've heard it before. Oh, I don't need an Xbox. I got a PC and a PlayStation. Awesome. Stop wasting your money and get Game Pass, because you're crazy if you don't. And if you load it like that, where you're burning your $50 bills to light up your barbecue, good on you, man. You know what? Good for you. Drop a $50 super chat in here. We'll appreciate it if you're going to burn that 50. But we have a very generous $10 super chat from our brother, J-Mac. What's going on, brother? And fellow graybeard. He says the narrative that Xbox has no games last generation clearly traumatized Microsoft and Xbox. And now with the flood of games, this was the result. Great point, Fuzzy. Hashtag graybeards. Hashtag Xbox better. And I'll even add to that. Hashtag Xbox butter. Indeed. Starfield Guy drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, I stopped playing KCD2 for AC Shadows. I stopped playing AC Shadows for Oblivion. I stopped playing Oblivion for Expedition 33. Help, Doom is coming. Brother, you're just not wrong. I'm having a real hard time trying to figure this out, because I just got, and I didn't know about this, and I don't remember, again, 2006 is when the Oblivion came out. I don't remember, folks. I just got a pirate ship. I got a mission where I had to kill off these 8 dead pirates and the captain, which was a real mother effer to beat. And I beat him. And it's like, oh, now you have a ship. Follow this. I go back to the port, the harbor. My ship is there. I meet someone, says, hey, do you want to redo your quarters? And I'm like, I don't remember this. As a matter of fact, Jamie Moran put out a video. Go check him out on Twitter, where you can get a free horse and horse armor. I'm still running around. I don't got a horse. Someone's like, oh, but you get it in the beginning. I missed it. So I'm running around like an a-hole. Running. My stamina is so high, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm like the Incredible Hulk. It's crazy. All I'm doing is run. But thank you so much for that, Starfield Guy. Yes, it is a problem that most Xbox gamers are having. J-Mac drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, Game Pass is the perfect platform for the gamer. That's also a grazer. I play multiple games at a time. That's probably why I can't finish them. Hashtag Xbox World Order, brother. Indeed. All right, gentlemen, let's get into the next topic. This one is a segue into what is ultimately going to happen by the end of the year. And it has to do with Xbox Game Pass. Now, like I said in the opening, Ecstasies is reporting on this, and the way it seems and the way that he has explained himself is that he has seen data that not only projects this, but suggests that it's going to happen. What are we talking about? Well, I have the tweet in front of me, and it says this: breaking. Record-breaking Xbox Game Pass subscriptions have been growing steadily since the end of 2024. The last official figure by Microsoft was given in 2023. Now, according to his inside source, Microsoft and Xbox are targeting the 50 million plus subscriber number by the end of 2025. And according to him and his source, it is getting closer each and every day. Now, folks, what does that do for me as a content creator? Not much and nothing. What does that do for you who's listening to this podcast right now? Well, financially, they're not putting anything into your coffers. But what they are doing is doing what we just spent the first 45 minutes of this show talking about, and that is filling Xbox Game Pass with banger after banger after banger. And they continue to do that. And the more people that subscribe, the more they're going to invest into Xbox Game Pass, right? So what did we hear a couple of years ago that they invest in $1 billion per year, Crispy Bomb, is invested into Xbox Game Pass. And of course, that is not counting the Xbox Game Pass games that come from Xbox Games Studios, which of course is first party. That is just their third party, second party, and indie communities. And now obviously those are big, but spending $1 billion on a service where they're making 5+ billion per year, they're expected, again, it was projected for this year that they're expected to make more than $5 billion this year through Xbox Game Pass. That's 5 times the amount of profit. Listen, this is a number I think is going to happen. I think you're going to see, not only does that happen this year, why I believe it may even happen before the end of the year, Crispy Bomb, is because of what we just spent the first 45 minutes talking about. How many more games do they need to add to the service before somebody who plays on a Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 is going to look over and say, wait a second, I love my Switch. I love my Switch too. I can't wait to play Mario Kart. I can't wait to play Donkey Kong Bonanza. I can't wait to play these games. Metroid Prime 4, I'm in, right? We're all in for that. But there is going to come a point where you're going to look over and say, wait a second, these games are $70 and $80 games. And those guys over on Xbox, where the grass is greener, they're paying $20 and they're getting Doom, they're getting Call of Duty. What is this Expedition 33? I heard it's game of the year. I like indies, Blueprint. Oh my God, this is in there too? And they're going to be like, I can no longer deny that value. Now, here's the thing, folks. I think this is where the Xbox Play Anywhere thing really starts to drive the point home. Because Xbox, we know they're struggling selling consoles. They've been on the decline for the last 3 quarters. It's facts, numbers. But that is why they don't listen. Do they want you to buy an Xbox? Of course they do. They're a corporation. They want to separate you from your dollars. But they have so many other ways right now. You don't have to buy an Xbox in order to play these games. And that is the Trojan horse of this. So that is why I believe that you're going to see more console sales, sure. You're going to see more people playing on Game Pass through consoles, sure. But you're also going to start to see people playing on their tablets, on their PCs, which PC has been a huge boost for Xbox Game Pass, and people playing on their TVs as well, because that is now the running thing. Crispy Bomb, let's talk about this, man. Again, there's a lot to get into, but I think 50 million subscribers is going to happen before the end of the year.
That's a logical and underlying. Let's not oversell what we're trying to do. I think it'll be closer to 60 million by the end of the year. The end of the year, people. End. Okay. And I only say this because I've been thinking about this for a while. And everybody says GTA 6 coming out at the end of the year, right? Well, we've all seen the interviews. Well, at least I have. I mean, I know Boom has. I know everybody on this panel has. Strauss Selnick,
Yep.
dude that, runs that whole ship over there. And he's like, we don't hate Microsoft. Like there's been a lot of Gabe. He said it multiple times. I worked for Microsoft. I don't hate them. You know what? They are trying to make money. Okay. Like these are corporations. Okay. One happens to be like, hey, you know what? Let's be pro-consumer for a while when they haven't been for decades. Okay. And, you ride that ship and you see the games they put out. And like a lot of us are like, oh, I love Gears. Somebody else loves Halo. You have those games out there and you're a fan of those games. It's not about selling units anymore. It's about selling a service. And I really, truly believe that we are in the time where, for once, Microsoft is not too far ahead. They're just pushing along. It's like that old steam train that's all of a sudden going nuclear, and they're building it out inside of the train, and as it's running, and they're like, you know what, we gotta build it out before we do anything else. And this is where, like, like, anybody ever read the Iliad? Like, this is where I go back to, like, the Trojan horse. Okay, how do you change minds? Remember the propaganda stuff that, like, in wars you would see, like, they would always highlight, especially in, like, newer, like, documentaries or movies, like, they would just throw flyers out and, like, hey, you can be different, it's okay. And Xbox is just doing that within gaming, and I think they're at a point where they have developed and nurtured many game studios, including, I would say second party. I wouldn't say third party, because, like, a lot of them, like, hey, like, marketing is different from, actually, like, publishing or providing revenue to said company to make game. So I look at it and I say, they're trying, and I mean, some of y'all are going to laugh, trying to put all their hands in all the cookie jars.
Indeed they are. And why wouldn't you?
And this is, I've said this before, but this is coming to complete fruition at this point. And I look at it and I'm like, they have the ability, and this is where I say, especially this year, like, they could get to 60 million really fast if they keep on this trajectory. Just, what, some games are gonna, like, legacy titles, older games that, somebody that may have a PlayStation or a Nintendo that have never played, and they're locked on that platform. They invested in that platform, and I think Microsoft's respecting that and be like, you know what, here's this game. Oh, you want Oblivion? Oh, here you go. Like, yeah, we footed the bill. Yeah, you're going to pay us a little bit, but they're also not being like, hey, this is $70, which I think they probably would have in the beginning make more money. But at the same time, as they see the socials and everything else, and people's reaction and people's love for certain games, it becomes beyond the platform. And I really, like, for example, I paid $550 for my Series X. Okay. And this was when, like, within the 6-month window, but I got it with an extra controller and 2 games.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that was worth it. The thing still runs. It runs great. Honestly, I don't know what a PlayStation looks like under my TV. And I don't know if it would support it, because they don't like to play nice with a lot of other people because they make TVs themselves. So I look at these type of things and I say, this is all back end stuff that, I don't know about, but all I know is that mine still works. And I bought it then, and I look at it and I'm like, it works great. And the only thing I want is some cheaper storage options. And
you know what? Someone actually had put in the chat earlier. I forgot to make mention of it. They have the 2 terabyte card for $179. Folks, whoever said that, throw back in so I can give you credit where credit is due. But yeah, that's actually not bad, because I bought
is that the WD Black, I believe.
It might be, but dude,
It
it's
might
storage,
be.
and yeah, and under $200, and if you got some gift cards hidden around, hiding in your sock drawer or something, may not be a bad time.
See, so I'm not asking for the world. I'm asking like, hey, bring that down to 150. Like, work with your partners, like, because at the end of the day, it's a proprietary. Like, it's not working for any other console. You know what I'm saying? So like Microsoft should have some ability to say, hey, like, you got to bring this price down, because like at the end of the day, you could sell a lot more, still probably at a profit. I wouldn't doubt it. And these are business decisions that we're not privy to. But right now, you look at one company as of now, because you love to step on rakes, Xbox. You love to. Don't do it this year. You stepped on the rake at the beginning of the year. We talked about it. Okay? Like, layoffs, all that stuff. Let's have a year of not stepping on rakes. Okay?
Just winning.
If you know that GTA 6 is coming out, which I'm probably sure they know exactly when it's coming out. Okay, because it's not selling to PC, it's only selling on console, which will sell consoles, by the way. But if Xbox can be undeniable with all these other games and be able to play GTA 6, I'm sure they're going to release it at some point on PC. But as of now, they're only releasing on console, and they have all these games on top of that will get people during the end of the year to just say, you know what, I'll get a Series S or I'll get a Series X. And I think they need to prepare for that, as long as they don't step on no rakes anytime soon. Other than that, I really look at what they're doing as kind of like, it's one of those things, like there's going to be people that are going to scream and be like, no, don't do that. No, you can't do that. Are we ever going to change? Like, I mean, we have to change, okay? Like, I grew up in the 90s. We have changed already. Sometimes I was the one screaming. That doesn't mean that I was right. And I think they have the opportunity, if they just keep releasing whatever they have that is ready, that is well developed, and using their partners and everything else, they can make this year and the Xbox gaming thing, like they can make that the thing. Because what do you have on other platforms? You don't have a lot. Like, Nintendo's doing what they do, and they're good at it. Y'all are hey, Switch 2. I have no interest in it, and I'm sure there's plenty of people like me. I have no interest. Does that mean that my son doesn't? No. That means that he might want it, but that doesn't mean that he's going to ask for it, because he already has a Switch 1. It's one of those things that, you look at it. Yeah, there's no enhanced version of any Xbox right now. It's just Series X or Series S. You pick. And I think they should stay with that, and they should just provide content. And that's where we go and say services. Provide content till no end. I've been a sub of Netflix since they raised the price $1. Like, Xbox, if you're going to do it next year, raise the price $1. Like, don't go nothing like no $5, nothing stupid. Just do it, easily in, because I'm still subbed to Netflix, and I still watch a lot of their content. Provide content.
And that's exactly what they're doing, brother. And that's a great way to end the conversation, because, again, no rake stepping, check. Let's hopefully they're listening to the show and they're like, okay, guys, stay away from those rakes. Step on shovels, they won't hurt you. They won't hit you in your face. Don't step on a rake, because that's going to hurt. But great points all around. And again, providing content, they're doing it in spades, to the point where we're all like, and this is it's the funniest conversation you've ever had with your friends in gaming. Like, yeah, man, I I can't keep up. There are too many games. It's hilarious. Like, oh, Game Pass, please stop. You're killing me. There's just too many games. It's hilarious. But Fuzzy Belvedere, I want to get your hot take on this because I do think that we are on the cusp of the 50 million. And I think that Crispy Bomb is onto something. It might be 60 million. Why? Why is that? Well, instead of having a barren first 5 to 6 months like they've done, where people won't subscribe to the service, according to the Ecstasy's report, since the end of 24, it has been steadily growing. And I think that has a lot to do with this game in front of you, Call of Duty Black Ops, in their day and date, right? We know that Black Ops 7, which is the sequel to 2, is, again, rumored to be happening sometime this fall. There will be another Call of Duty. Whether it's that one or not, we don't know, but that's the running rumor. But why you're seeing this steady increase is of what we opened the show with, and that is all of the games that have been released so far. And even though the normie community or the casual gaming community aren't hardcore and are not going to buy 10, 15, 20 games or go out and seek 3 years of Xbox Game Pass via CD keys or wherever else, they're going to see the service. There's going to be a game in there, whether it be Black Ops 6, whether it be Doom, The Dark Ages, whether it be a game that really that they didn't know they wanted or needed in their life, like an Avowed or a South of Midnight. And then they're going to see something like they remember playing Oblivion. It is the talk of the town, right? It has taken over the social media zeitgeist, right along with Expedition 33. These are all reasons why it's steadily growing. And it's also seeing ridiculous growth, according to Phil Spencer, via PC. And that is another community that doesn't usually pay for things because they've been playing for free for years, right? They have Steam. They wait for Steam sales, but they're getting into Game Pass because the value is undeniable. Do you think they not only hit the 50 million by end of the year, do they go past that?
I definitely think they go past it. Like I'll be honest, although not knowing the numbers, I'm going out on a limb here, but I think they reached the 50 million by the June showcase. Like Doom is definitely going to add on some more subscribers. To what extent, I don't know. I always thought that they were, somewhere north of like 42 or 45 anyway. So I think June is a reasonable goal achievement for the 50. But like Crispy said, they could very well reach 60 before this year is out. COD is going to be a big one for them. Yes, they did it in Game Pass last year, and not everybody is going to, jump ship just for that. But seeing the consistency of following year, another new COD, and it's in the service day and date, eventually it's going to start convincing people, especially those that are hearing now things like Madden are not going to be, the older gen. So if they're looking to pick up that next gen console between now and the holidays to make sure that they can play Madden next year, they might pick up a Series S, given that that's still a console that you can get for under $300 to play these next gen games. So I think it's very possible for them to achieve even the 60 million before this year is out, just on that. Plus the fact that things like GTA 6 are going to be next gen only. I really don't think it's going to be on the Switch 2, but it would be kind of hilarious if it was, considering the Switch 2 is kind of like PS4 Pro-ish, Xbox One X-ish range, power output wise. But yeah, they're definitely on a tear, having game after game of not just from their studios, but their partnered studios. Like you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, they spend $1 billion on the third-party partnerships to get them into Game Pass for day and date. That alone, somebody that may just use their PlayStation as an exclusive box or their Switch 1 or 2 as an exclusives box, play all your third parties on a service where you could buy them for cheap or play them or have early access for them through Game Pass. Like whatever games don't go into Game Pass, day and date might wind up there within the next 3 to 6 months. And even for those that don't, you can still wind up buying them by the time they hit sale. But there's so many games in Game Pass at that point that, yeah, it's a worthwhile service, whether you're on console or, like you said, with PC players. Like I know a handful of PC players that have Game Pass PC. Yes, the UI sucks. they tell me every time that it's probably the worst as far as being clunky, but the access is the undeniable aspect. A lot of those indies that, they're not sure if they want to pay, the $20 or whatever on Steam, or, trying to wait 6 months for it to come on sale. They can get it, day and date in some cases through Game Pass. And then whatever, big titles they wind up buying through Steam, or, waiting until it might be a freebie on Epic or whatever the case may be. But yeah, the 50 million goal, I think, is definitely reachable. I would say is possibly as soon as the June showcase, but beyond that, yeah, by the end of this year, they still stand to add, another 5 to 10 million to that, whether it's just PC players, or, like I said, the people that are still on their PS4, that are still on their Xbox One, which, by the way, the cool thing about Game Pass in general is that if you're an Xbox One owner, you can do the streaming for the newer games on that console. So that's, Xbox, I know people are like, oh, you're a shill if you're talking about consumer friendliness and all this stuff, but it's like, you don't even have to buy the new console to play the new console games. It's just that you better have, somewhat decent internet. But like the fact that they do things like that, and it's probably going to be the same case when the next generation of consoles come out, where us with the series consoles will be able to do whatever, whenever they do that cutoff of, okay, the series consoles are no longer supported. This new generation are going to be, or these exclusives, or not exclusive, but these new games are going to be, built based on the next gen console. We'll still be able to do the streaming through the series console for those. Although I don't think that would be for some time, probably like 2 or 3 years into that new generation. But yeah, I definitely see them doing much more than 50 million before this year is out. Like Crispy said, 60 million is a very obtainable goal. Yes, it's a lot slower than what they thought, based on pre-COVID or during COVID numbers, because of, a lot of people being at home and having a lot more time to game. They probably, that 100 million that they were looking at years ago was based off of that, which was, an anomaly if you look at it from a business standpoint. But yeah, they're definitely churning out great content. That content is definitely going to catch more eyes. Catching more eyes leads to more subscriptions. And it's not like you subscribe and it's like, oh, I'll just cancel, because there's something going into the service each and every week. Big titles coming each and every month, and, first party more than 4 times a year. Yeah, it's worthwhile keeping the service. If they raise prices, I'm good until 2028. I always recommend stacking. It looks like sometimes CD Keys doesn't always have the stackable.
Right, they have just the new ones. Occasionally they do get it, so obviously
mm-hmm.
I like to throw that out to the socials if and when I see it, because I have a 3-month gap that I'm trying to fill, and they had it at for Aniba is another one, Aniba.com.
Yeah,
and it wasn't that much of a deal. I think it was like $49, and I'm like, $11 is still $11, but it's not great. So I'm just going to wait until maybe Black Friday. But folks, they do go on sale all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And he's right. CD Keys kind of dried up a little bit. But if you are a new subscriber, they do have them there.
Yeah. So there's always opportunities to re-up your subscription, or do like I do a lot of times with Microsoft reward points and stuff. But yeah, it's a worthwhile service. Considering how many players they have on the service now, it's going to continue to grow, especially with them, dropping banger after banger like they've done this year. And they'll continue to do for at least the next 3 to 5 years, considering how many titles we're aware of and some of the projects that we're aware of currently. They have a good lineup for several years to come. So yeah, it's worthwhile. And yeah, 60 mil, I think it's reachable before the year's out.
I absolutely do. And listen, folks, for anyone that is telling you that people that talk about Game Pass, especially content creators, are somehow capping, folks, we're doing you a public service message because we want to see everybody win. And I think Fuzzy knocked it out of the park. Yeah, it's okay to have multiple platforms. I'm right there with you. I went out and bought a Switch too. Yes, does it suck that I'm gonna have to pay $80 because I couldn't get the bundle? Sure, but I'm not gonna buy as many games as I used to. And it's no excuse either. Like, I'm going to buy the new Donkey Kong. I'm going to buy Metroid Prime 4. I'm going to play that. But something like a Mario Golf or tennis or, something like that, I'm not going to buy it because I'm not spending $80 on that. Will it go on sale eventually? Maybe. I don't know. But, again, Nintendo Switch for first-party stuff. PS5 for first-party stuff. Xbox Series X for everything else, and most of everything else is in your service. It is hard to deny that this service is so good that it is undeniable. I listen, you can fight me all day. You're not going to win that argument with me. It's the value proposition is just ridiculous. And you know what? If you don't agree, that's perfectly fine. Spend your money how you're going to spend your money. I'm not pocket watching anybody, but I know that my pockets are going to stay filled because when I want to buy a game that's outside of Xbox Game Pass or Xbox itself, I can afford to do so thanks to Xbox Game Pass and the ridiculousness of the service. But we have a super chat here. We're going to get everyone out of here to go start your Friday. Hopefully everyone enjoys gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming on. And of course, the last super chat of the day comes the way of Space Shots in the chat. He drops, ladies and gentlemen, a very generous $5 super chat and says, Circana is reporting video game content sales are at 416 billion for March. Hardware and accessories were at 524 million, which is more important to dominate. I mean, now you said billion for the console for video game content sales. I don't know if it's a typo, but if it's billion, so look, traditionally, I guess this is going to be kind of like a broad stroke answer to Space Shot's question. Traditionally, console makers, Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, they sell you a box to get you into their ecosystem. Most of these platforms take a loss up front. For every console they sell, they're taking a hit. But they're not there to sell you the console to win or make profit. Now, Nintendo is a horse of another color because when the Switch 1 released in 2017, that hardware was already ancient by a couple of years. And they were making money hand over fist with every Switch that they sold. I believe that's going to be the same thing with the Switch 2. Are they going to make as much money? I don't know. But it is PlayStation 4 Pro power, right? So it's not as powerful as a Series S, or an X for that matter, or a PS5. It's powerful as a PlayStation 4 Pro, which the Pro handled itself very well. It made the games look great. So that's awesome for Nintendo. I believe they're going to be making a profit on their consoles. How much, I don't know. For the next generation of consoles, folks, I'm here to tell you right now, expect the PlayStation 6, because the PS5 Pro is already $700 plus tax, is going to be $800. The next Xbox is probably going to be $800. And now, do I have that on confirmed fact? No, it's just an opinion, folks. But I believe that is what's going to be happening. We will certainly see, but next generation Xbox should be so radically different than the Switch 2 and the PS6 that you're not going to mind buying a more powerful and more capable open sourced console, which is rumored to be this magic box. But we'll see in 2026. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us here today. Again, if you enjoyed the show, please consider hitting the like button. If you're feeling super generous on a Friday morning and you're enjoying yourself, share it out on the socials. But more importantly, again, we are 118 subscribers away from 16K, and we'd love to get there sooner than later. So if you're not already subscribed to Double Barrel Gaming, please consider subscribing. We would greatly appreciate it. But let's get everyone out of here, and we'll start first with Crispy Bomb. Brother, sell the brand. Where can people catch you on the socials, giving the crispy truth, and more importantly, kind sir, what else you got going on?
At Crispy Bomb on X, I speak my truth. I don't give a frack. Some people might get that reference. What you think, but at the same time, I will have a conversation, and we always do that here because at the end of the day, I'm just a gamer, and when I game, I game. When I don't, I don't. Try to always be honest. Do I always remember all the things that I've done? No, but I try to be truthful, and that's the truth. At Bomb is become something completely different, and I think if people want to hear a person's opinion, you can come to me. I'll give you my opinion. I have no holds bar. Doesn't matter. And then Chris Bomb 28 on Xbox Live. I mean, hit me up. Like, we could play some different games. I have a lot of games installed. That's where I say, like, give me a more reasonable price. I know what these things cost. I've looked into it. Okay, like there's no reason.
Yeah.
Even 179. Come on, Xbox. Like you can get your partners to go down. Okay, it's a proprietary system. All right, like it's a memory card. Let's get them to reduce the price.
Hashtag be better. I agree with you, Chris.
So I look at that and I say, great. And you could find me. I mean, me and Boom, I'm family. Okay, he's family.
Yep.
So I'll be where I am. Like, thank God for you doing 5 shows a week. Like,
You're always welcome on
what's
all of them, brother.
but I appreciate it. And the one thing I'll say is, like, I don't mind having a good debate or conversation. Like, I say this all the time and people don't understand it. Like, hey, maybe you can prove me wrong. That's great. But right now, like, I'm sorry, Game Pass is undeniable.
Indeed it is, brother. And thank you so much for being here. And whenever you do guest on all of the other shows, which you've made the rounds, but appreciate that very much. We have another super chat that popped in here at the last minute. Ray Chi in the chat drops a very generous Canadian $2 super chat and says, just open source the port so we can buy an adapter. Yeah, I mean, I think this next Xbox, the reason why people are going to want to buy it is going to be so drastically different than what you have underneath your TV now. Again, it's going to look like an Xbox. It's going to act like an Xbox, but it's also going to give you the ability to play your Steam, get your Steam library, buy Steam games, your good old games, potentially. That's an extra bonus, potentially the Epic Game Store. And it makes sense, right? Like, again, I'm never going to be a PC guy. I'm never going to buy a rig. But I become a Steam customer and an Epic Game Store customer that they would have not gotten if they didn't have this magical box that gives gamers like me who want a PC experience but not looking for PC pricing. Like, I'm not going to spend $3,000 on a rig, but I will spend $1,500 on an Xbox if, let's say, for instance, Alienware allows or making their own Xboxes. And of course, that is a part of the bigger plan for Xbox, is that they're going to have their own hardware, but they're going to allow for other publishers to make hardware for them. And a lot of that hardware is going to be made to order. So if you want a $1,500 Xbox that has a 5090, you can pay for that, which is what I will do. But again, I'm not currently a customer for Steam. They'll find one because of this new magical box underneath the TV. But Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell the brand, kind sir. You have a show happening tonight called Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but my God, you guys should definitely make mention. Did you see Predator Hunting Grounds? Because, man, that looks amazing, but it's some subcontext that a lot of people miss. Now I'm cheating. I watched a breakdown from Heavy Spoilers. I love his content. Heavy Spoilers is great. He's from the UK. He usually works very close with Josh from Den of Nerds. Again, I like movie stuff, folks. I don't have my own podcast for movies yet. I just have to find the time. And maybe if we can extend the hours in the day, I could figure it out. But if you look and you are a fan of Predator and Aliens, that Alien versus Predator thing is potentially happening in the next film. But if you look at the trophy case in the Predator ship and they superimpose on a specific skull that's dead set in the middle, I'm getting goosebumps because I'm a nerd. That particular skull is from the aliens from Independence Day. That's right, Independence Day with Will Smith. That is canon to Predators and Aliens now. You can see the skull. Heavy spoilers showed the one-to-one to an actual alien and to the skull. It has been confirmed to be that skull from one of those Independence Day aliens. That is freaking amazing. But Brand, brother, where can people tune in for tonight's Fright Night with Ferocious Fee? Subscribe to her YouTube channel, but also follow you and subscribe to your YouTube channel, because I'm sure you're going to be talking about a lot of the updates that have come the way of Forza Horizon 5, and that looks dope. Talk about it, brother. Sell the brand.
As always, love doing this podcast in the morning on Fridays. Always love having it where me and Crispy can talk about, Xbox or just gaming in general. Love doing this. It pretty much, this is like the or the pre-Christmas season for us gamers, with the showcase right around the corner. So much gaming out there. Definitely take the time out, enjoy games, tackle that backlog as best you can. But for the most part, this is the hobby we all enjoy. So definitely take part in it. But for all of you watching, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate the support. Put the link for both my YouTube channel as well as my wife's YouTube channel in the chat. Tonight for Fright Night with Ferocious Fee, we'll be discussing Hellraiser, the one from 2022, a little reboot type of deal. Real interesting in comparison to the original. We'll be discussing that at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. And then later on, after that, I'll be on Xbox Ultimate Podcast on Fun Speculations channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. And then this weekend will be Pixelated Echoes at 8:30 on Sunday. Just do a search on YouTube for Pixelated Echoes, and you'll be able to find our channel with me and 3-Bit. And then for Monday, look forward to seeing hopefully everybody in the chat right here for Xbox lunch break special, 12 noon on Monday. Have a good weekend, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much. Listen, do you, K now, the Broke Boy Insider, has dropped an additional very generous $2 from chat. In all caps, he says, where? I need to see this. I just dropped the link to Heavy Spoilers, not his YouTube channel, the actual video. I just dropped it again. Shout out to Brett Bingham in the chat, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Listen, he has 1.5 million subscribers. He does not need little Boomstick toeing that line. Pause. But if you do go over there, if you do talk to Paul, if you leave a message, say, hey, Double Barrel Gaming told me about your channel. I'm a big fan now. Maybe we can get Paul to join us on the channel that one day. That'd be dope. And maybe get some of his subscribers to kind of help us get to 20, 25, 50,000, and maybe one day 1 million. We'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for, of course, hanging out with us here today. Great opinions from everybody here on the panel. Of course, the chat was super engaged, and we, of course, appreciate the banter going back and forth. And, of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats, the channel member chats, as well as the channel memberships that fund the channel behind the scenes. Mrs. Boom and I are always going to be incredibly grateful for the support. And I'm going to close the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Game wherever you enjoy gaming. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.